It's Friday afternoon, it's August, sun is shining outside. Everyone wants to go home, of course. But the integrator, you know, the one with the capital I, have to integrate with the capital I all the code done by 20 programmers for the last week before they can go. This is like most other Fridays at this workplace, all the code needs to be integrated every Friday from a lot of developers. Of course, there are some merge problems that has to be manually sorted out, and to make things worse, they can't just use some video call to talk to each other to sort it out, because these developers, of course, are at another site, not at the site where the integrator is. This was what I worked with 5 years ago at a big international company that outsourced around 50% of their workload to Eastern Europe country. And as a big international company, they often have lots of rules and regulations, and basically all the rules and regulations work against this kind of outsourcing that we try to achieve at this department. There were a lot of problems. Two of them were what I mentioned before. Very strict code ownership. It even meant sometimes that the developers couldn't even get access to the code they needed to solve their problems. It was not just that they couldn't integrate it back to the trunk, they sometimes couldn't even get to it in the first place. And the second one was, of course, a big company-wide forbidden, cameras were forbidden at all sites. So you couldn't use like a web camera to just talk to people that weren't at your site. And at the time, it was not an agile company, as you can imagine. And I'm here today to talk to you about agile teams and agile distributed teams. And as you know, most agile methods really promote co-located teams, that you sit together in the same room to be able to talk together and solve your problems together. But sometimes you have to have distributed teams for different reasons. It could be that you want to save cost and like put half the team in a low-cost country, or it could be that you have some very specific people that you need to solve your problems at another site. So how can Agile help you be successful in a distributed team? And to talk about this, I'm going to talk about 3 different areas that I have just formed for this purpose, so don't think too much about these areas. And I will also do it by showing examples from 3 different, what can we say, sources of agile wisdom or ways of working, as I assume you are familiar with them all. Alright, so let's just dive into the first one. Cooperation and communication. This, of course, is very important in all teams, that you can communicate and cooperate efficiently. And the Agile Manifesto have 2 very good points here. The first one, of course, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And one of the 12 principles is that you should always communicate face-to-face, because that is much better. So how can we use this to make a distributed team work better? Well, first of all, make sure that everyone in the team has a web camera of their own. And of course, if you have a reasonably new laptop, you probably have it built in. Otherwise, just buy a cheap one, a couple of £100, it's not expensive, and it brings much value to the team, that they can talk face-to-face whenever they need with each other. And also, think about how the individuals in the team can interact, even if they are not on the same location. And try to solve these issues first, then the people can really work together as good as possible. And I also want to specifically mention the daily meeting, which is featured both in Scrum and in Speed. It should be a stand-up meeting, it should be short, it should be to the point. So make sure that you have an actual stand-up meeting, even if you are on different locations. Don't sit in front of your computer. Make everyone stand up, and also make all the people on the same location use the same camera. Of course, you need an area or a specific room to be able to do this, where you have a raised table or a camera at the right height, so you can stand like 3 or 4 people in front of one camera and have the stand-up meeting. This way you really get the sense and the meaning of this meeting, even if you're not in the same room. Another one, of course, is having chat session open with all the team members at all times. It could be a good old IRC, or it could be like a Skype chat with all the team members. Just a way that everyone can reach everyone else with questions or comments or whatever you need to do your job that day. First, there are many tools to support in this. If you have a big company, you probably want some enterprise solution that you can install in your own environment. But otherwise, just use Skype or Google Hangout. That's great if you are more than 2 locations. You can share your screen or documents or anything. But that's not the important part. The important part is that we use these tools that are available to enable communication in a distributed team. All right, so the next area, code and deliverables. One of the key points to work agile and iteratively is to be able to release often. And to be able to do that, you need an infrastructure to support you, to be able to integrate often, to be able to build quickly, and not spend a lot of time on these issues, because then you can't release often. And it's even more important when you have a distributed team to think about the infrastructure you have, so that everyone can access the code, you have shared code ownership, everyone can integrate, everyone can build, and of course even better if it builds automatically as often as possible. In fact, integrate as much, or automate as much as you can to just remove dependencies to people that should do things for you to be able to release your software. And also, when you have a distributed team, it's even more important than otherwise to have a tool to support code reviews. Since you are not sitting next to each other, you can't just roll over your chair to look at the screen. You need a good tool to support code reviews so you can submit code, get it reviewed, and then integrate it. And obviously there are lots of different tools that can help you do this. And the teams I've worked with often end up using Git, Garrett, and Jenkins just to get started with these kind of issues. And they're really great to do this. And the last area I'm going to talk about, information and information sharing and team commitment. And as you know, in Scrum you have the backlog and burn down that shows you how's it going and what you're going to do. And XP talks about the informative workspace. And this is just as important when you have a distributed team. There are lots of digital tools you can use, but the important thing here is to actually put the data on the walls, even if you don't use whiteboards and sticky notes. Have a screen, or if you stream the whiteboard with a camera or whatever, so that all the team members on all the sides can see the same information at a glance, just as it should be. And it's all about having the right information at the right time for you to be able to do your job with. And of course, use a wiki for documenting everything. That's a great tool, and it's easy to use, and it really helps just put information somewhere that everyone can reach. Alright, so to conclude, when you work in an agile team, just actually use all the rules and all the principles in your method, and do it even if you have a distributed team. And it's extra important to do it if you have a distributed team. So my conclusion today is use your agile method, do it thoroughly, then you will increase your chances of succeeding with your distributed teams. Thank you.